All right, Avengers Defenders War. You saw us unbox stuff yesterday. I'm going to go piece by piece today from what we got, just in the general singles, of course. Not going to repeat ourselves on how many extras we got and whatnot. It was a case. There's bound to be extras, right? That said, when I do this, I always try to keep it casual and competitive. But you can hear me talking a little fast today because I'm going to try to include sealed and pre-release for this because this week the pre-release has started. So you kind of want to know what might work in your draft and what might not work in your draft. So bear with me as I talk a little fast and we go through this one by one and we talk about who's good, who's not, and what's great in the set. All right, guys, away we go. We're going to start right in the common slot. Figures number 001, Doctor Strange. This is your defensive stance version. Sorry, this is the one that carries. My bad. So he's got the shifting focus trait. Now, those of you unfamiliar with it, what it is you take a character with a shifting focus trait and you trade it on the table as a free action with another character with a shifting focus trait. It's a really good trait and it's really flexible. And I really stress that if you're a new player trying to learn competitive aspects of the game, to kind of learn how this works so you understand the place each character has in the game. Anyway, he's also got a Defenders Together trait, which you're going to see across this set as well. Once per turn for all characters with this trait, if a character uses the Defender's team ability to replace his defense with the value of defense value of Doctor Strange, you may re-roll one of the attack dice. When they're attacking you, take one of those attack dice and re-roll it if it try to change it into a miss. And then he's got the special movement power, teleportation spell. Doctor Strange can use phasing teleport. When he does, he can carry up to 2 characters or 4 friendly characters. They all have the Defenders keyword. And we take a look here. So you can see he's a very movement-based, not very offensive, not very defensive in a lot of ways. But he is indomitable, so you get 2 good, solid movements out of him with that. He's also got the Defender's team ability to share that the defense naturally. So Doctor Strange also has Defender's mystical. I always stress shifting focus is a great mechanic, and if you can find your use out of the rest of the figures, it's a great mechanic to use, and it's also a great mechanic to learn how to play competitive hero clicks with, because you can start to understand again figures, places, and whatnot. All right, I've talked too long on that. Next, figure number 002, Daredevil. He's got the Marvel Knights trait, which you're going to see in a couple other characters. Also Avengers, Marvel Knights, and martial artist keywords. Beginning of the game. Doctor Strange. As far as sealed play is concerned, 50 points for a taxi is a lot. But he's an indomitable taxi who can carry multiple characters. If you have to get another version of Doctor Strange, by all means, use him. And fill out those points to get some extra motion out of them. Daredevil, Avengers, Marvel Knights, martial artist keywords. Ignores elevated and hindering from movement. Marvel Knights trait, and I'm just going to say this once so that we don't have to keep repeating ourselves. At the beginning of the game, for all characters with trait, choose one. Characters using this trait have a minimum attack value of 10, or characters using this trait are wildcards. So either that 9 attack on his last 2 clicks is a 10, or he's a wild card instead. 4 range, 2 targets. What you see is what you get as far as powers are concerned. This is a pretty decent character for 50 points. You get a good value, good attack, and he's got that super senses to boot. 17 defense is not, standout-ish, but for 50 points with super senses, it could take a little bit more effort than expected for this character. As far as the grander game, maybe not gonna make some great Marvel Knights teams. Also, a lot of potential in sealed as well. All right, next up, my personal favorite character, the Hulk. He's Defenders and Brute. It's figure number 003. His Defenders Together is +1 defense if it's a close attack. So you share his defense, which is 18 on something. Wow, there's a lot of 18s in there, which is really good. And he's you get some extra out of the close attacks. He's got a special movement, Leaping Smash. Hulk can use Leap Climb when he does. After action resolve, he can use Quake as a free action. I remember a guy who did that. Chipmunk Hunk. Ignores hindering as well for movement. This has got a really good set of stats at 80 points. A really good bargain with the Defender's team ability and Indomitable. So a good, solid brick house. For those last little lingering moments of the Hulk's ID card, you could use him. But ultimately, this guy's going to see more casual play than competitive play for sure. Sealed play, he's a really solid choice at 80 points for what you get out of him. All right, figure number 004, Hawkeye. This Hawkeye is 30 points. He's got the Defenders team ability. His defenders together is +1 defense at range when you share his defense. And he's a kind of a short dial with some range combat expert, some sidestep. But he comes in at an easy 30 points. Not much out of your team. Really good add-on for some range damage if you should so desire that out of him. Good solid sealed. Good solid pickup at the bottom of your team for casual play. Not going to see a lot of competitive play off the top. All right, Wasp, our second of our shifting focus characters. Her shifting focus is actually called Time for a Costume Change. Give her free action. Replace her with another character with the same click number with that trait. And then she's basically an incapacitator in this case. 19 defense and tiny is really good at range, and she's 5 range with 2 targets. The idea of course, this character is to make sure that your opponent's big targets are slowed down to a certain degree. Initially, not a solid bet for competitive play. Really good sealed delay piece, but once we get a look at the other version, we get to flesh out her shifting focus just a little bit more. All right, next up, the first of the shifting focus divisions. And his is called Shifting Focus Density Shift. Ooh. All right, so he's more based on defensive, invincible, and impervious 5-click dial for 50 points. That is and he's indomitable too. That is a hard dial to get through with the robot keyword in Avengers. Honestly, not too shabby a damage sponge for 50 points for sure. And he's got exploit weakness off the top too. That can go a long way. And that late dial close combat expert can go a long way. He's a little slower, but he starts with some sidestep to kind of boost that up. Not a bad choice of visions between your two shifting focus ones. All right. We also have a shifting focus, Black Panther. He comes in at 30 points, and this is all too familiar. He's got the Avengers team ability. He's 30 points. He's got stealth, and he's got outwit. Those of you who remember Infinity Challenge know exactly why I'm laughing. My goodness, they did it again. He's 3 points more, but he's also a shifting focus character, and we can't wait to see what the other shifting focus versions of Black Panther do. My gosh, that's awesome. All right, next up. So yeah, probably a good solid throw in on for 30 points for outwit, especially once the new rules come around. Oh my goodness, he's going to be great. Good, a multi-dimensional character when you include the shifting focus aspect of him. All right, next up, Luke Cage, Avengers. And T'Challa is Avengers Wakanda and Scientist keywords. All right, sorry. Luke Cage, Avengers Heroes for Hire, Marvel Knights keyword. He's got the Marvel Knights trait, and he's got an unbreakable skin, special defense power. Luke Cage can use invulnerability and willpower. Penetrating damage dealt to Luke Cage can be reduced. So that's a trend that we seem to be following with Luke Cage. He starts with that for the first 2 clicks, returns into toughness. 50 points. Again, not going to probably see a lot of action in competitive play. Great for your Marvel Knights teams, especially considering you can make his minimum attack 10, and you can keep some damage flow going with him. So yeah, Luke Cage. All right, next up, the first set of shifting focus, Punisher. There's a lot of shifting focus characters in here. This is the Punisher with the rocket launcher, so we know he's a shifting focus. We know he's a Marvel Knights. He's got the rocket propelled grenade. When Punisher hits an opposing character with a range attack, instead of dealing normal damage, deal the target 4 damage and deal each target adjacent to the target 3 damage. That is nuts. That's a mega energy explosion. 4 to the first, 3 to adjacent. Oh my goodness. 11 attack off the start with that. That turns into some energy explosion. 50 points. Man, this guy is the epitome of what we define as a glass cannon. Hits hard. Can't take it too hard though. Competitive play with the Punisher van out there and all the options we have for Punisher, I can see a comeback for that. He's a Marvel Knights and Soldier as well. And yeah, he's overall, I like this Punisher and can't wait to get some action out of him. Possible competitive play. Definite sealed pick, especially if you have another one, because that kind of range and that kind of damage output is nuts. All right, next up. Figure number 10, Iron Man. He's got the system reboot. Once per game, Iron Man can use regeneration, but only subtracts 1 from the result. Can't wait to see how they reword that on the new rules. But when we take a look at his stats, for 55 points, you get a really decent ranged combat attacker that flies. Honestly, definite play and sealed play. Could definitely see some action with Avengers and Armor keywords. in some competitive plays in the far future. There's definitely a second rotation coming out next year that could make him really good in modern competitive play. Very, very solid choice to fill out your Avengers team, or if you just need to find an Iron Man to squeeze in there. I can't see him taking up too many points, of course. All right, next up, Captain America, figure number 11. Respected leader is his special damage power. Captain America can use leadership but succeeds on a 4 to 6. When he does, on a result of 6, he may also remove an action token from each friendly character with the Avengers keyword within range. Wow, Indomitable too. Oh my goodness. 50 points. He's got that on all of his clicks. His attack never drops below a 10. Peaks at an 11 on his last click with 18 defense with combat reflexes. Yeah, I like this guy a lot. Again, like Iron Man, a good way to fill out an Avengers team. Probably not going to see some much competitive play right now. There's a future for him for sure. I like him a lot. Can't wait to give him a good run. All right, next up, my personal favorite character. One of two. The other one being Luke, his good buddy Iron Fist. He's got Avengers Heroes for Hire, Kunlun, Marvel Knights, and Martial Artists keywords. He's got the Marvel Knights trait, and then a miasma of standard powers with really good attacks, with including Precision Strike and Exploit Weakness, so he can get through Super Senses, and you're impervious or invulnerable, and he'll definitely get through any other defense modifiers with that. His attack drops to a 9 to the late dial, or you can keep it at a 10 with his trait. I like this guy a lot. 50 points, really good version of Iron Fist. All right, next up, figure 13, Whiplash. Magia, Sinister Syndicate, and Scientist keywords. He's got a special attack power when electrically charged titanium whip. When Whiplash makes an attack and hits, roll a d6. On a roll of 4 to 6, place an action token on the hit target. He comes in at 40 points with the Spider-Man or the Sinister Syndicate team ability. 3 range, not fantastic, but honestly, if you can make his thing start to work, that 50-50 could really, really slow people down. Competitive, not yet, but casual play for sure, especially with some Sinister Syndicate action. And sealed play, I'd include him. Why not? You get, from the basis of the set, it looks like you got to have a lot of room in sealed. All right, Wakandan Warrior for the King is his special attack power. Use Wakanda and Warrior keywords. If a character named Black Panther is within 8 squares, Wakandan Warrior can use Precision Strike and Willpower. That's a special attack power, which he has on all 3 clicks. He's 20 points. Not going to see competitive play, but really cool on a team with some Black Panthers playing the field for sure. All right, next up, the Hand Ninja. Once again, they have the Hydra team ability. 10 points, hand and martial artist keywords. He's got a special damage power, outnumber you from the shadows. If Hand Ninja occupies enemy terrain, he can use Empower. Reasonable stats with the Empower for 10 points. With the Hydra team ability, that's like the Hydra team ability is almost worth 10 points on its own. And the fact that you can pull him out for free with the Daredevil, this one is pretty cool. So yeah, could see some play with that Daredevil for sure. Might not be competitive right out of the gates, but there's a future for him. All right, next up, the Atlantean Warrior. And sealed 10 points. Come on now. If you have 10 points, use it. The Atlantean Warrior is Atlantis and Warrior keywords. Atlantis Rising is a trait. If a friendly character with the Atlantis and Ruler keywords is within 8 squares, Atlantean Warrior modifies attack by +1. That's got a lot of reach on it if you think about it. There's some characters in the DC market who happen to have those too, along with Namors who have that. So he could very well have a 10 attack, cross that down with combat reflexes and close combat expert. And he's also aquatic, so he moves through water. Not too shabby. Atlantis teams, keep your eyes on this. All right, next up, Elektra, Marvel Knights, the Hand Assassin, martial arts keywords. She's shifting focus and Marvel Knights traits. She ignores elevated and hindering for movement, and she's got sidestep and stealth on her special movement power. So this is the Elektra you use to get up there. Oh my goodness, defense powers, I don't care. Whew. And really solid attacks. And if you use that trait on that last click, man, 10 attacks still with exploit weakness across the board. She is something you got to, if you see her on the board, keep an eye out on her. She might surprise you. All right, next up, Black Panther, shifting focus, and this one looks a little bit more combat oriented as he has some charge with blades to start, which turns into sidestep with exploit weakness, combat reflexes across the board, 30 points. Man, I'm really liking this shifting focus Black Panther. He could be outwitting, he could be fighting, he could be doing a lot of things. So yeah, Black Panther is really starting to look very playable as a fill-in, especially once we start moving into the competitive metagame where we're going to start seeing pit crews again. All right, next up, the second part of the Doctor Strange. This is the defendy one. So, shifting focus, his defenders is reduced damage dealt by an additional 1 if they have the defender's keyword and they're sharing his defender's team ability. So they need defender's keyword and defender's team ability in order to get that bonus off of them. He's also got a defense power that gives him defend, and if an adjacent friendly character takes damage from an attack after action resolve, you may heal that character of 1 damage. If you do, roll a d6 on a 1 to 3, deal Doctor Strange 1 unavoidable. My goodness! So you share his 18 defense. If you happen to get hit, he says, "You know what? Heal a click. Let's see if I take damage." That's really starting to make this Doctor Strange really looking good. Doctor Strange seems to be, the first 2 seem to be making your team a little bit better. Really worth it in sealed play for sure. Could definitely see some competitive play. It's starting to look like now. Sealed play, sharing that 18 defense is really going to make your team as a whole harder to hit. All right, next up, Daredevil, martial artist, and he's got some stuff. Sidestep, leap, climb. This is kind of a basic 30-point Daredevil. If you have the points, throw him in on a sealed game. Probably not going to see him in competitive play, but, you know, martial artist teams could make a good use of him. Somebody, you know, your classic versions of character teams are going to see a little bit of inclusion of Daredevil. I mean, he's not terrible. He's really hard to fit into some teams in some cases. All right, next up, we have the Gray Hulk. Leave Hulk alone. Oh, he's a brute and monster. Leave Hulk alone is a trait at the beginning. If at the beginning of your turn, if Hulk was targeted with an attack since your last turn, place an anger token on this card. If Hulk wasn't targeted with an attack since your last turn, remove an anger token from this card. After placing or removing anger tokens, if Hulk has 5 anger tokens or more, he is immediately KO'd. He's traded with the ability to use super strength. I guess that's to mediate his points at 75, starting with invincible, moving to impervious. 4 damage with some late dial battle fury, indomitable, late dial steel energy as well. Whoo boy, I like this Hulk. 75 point is really reasonable for what you're getting out of the dial. With the unfortunateness of apparently he dies if he's been attacked too much. So keep an eye out on that. I like him. I like him a lot. All right, next up, uncommon Hawkeye. Uncommon Hawkeye comes in at 55 points. He's got a quiver full of tricks. Hawkeye begins the game with 5 trick arrow tokens on this card. Once per turn, you may remove a trick arrow token from this card and choose one of the following powers for Hawkeye to be able to use this turn: Energy Explosion, Psychic Blast, or Incapacitate. We've seen something like this in the past. He comes in with a 10 attack with some ranged combat expert. The trick arrows could definitely go a long way. Give him a little bit more flexibility. A good starter Hawkeye. Give him a try. On your friendly games. Probably not going to see competitive play, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. He's a really good inclusion for sealed play because sometimes that choice of powers can go a long way. A lot of those powers are powers. It's like, yeah, I could use that. All right, next up. Whoop. I'm going to throw figures across the board. All right, next up. Wasp. Again, she's Avengers and Celebrity. Time for a costume change where you can change her to the other one. She's got a special leadership power. She can use leadership if she were 100 points. When she doesn't succeed, add 2 actions to your action total instead of 1. Can't wait to see how that gets changed with the new rules. All right. And that's probably going to, you know what, they might just say she gives +2 actions anyway. I don't know. We'll see. Psychic Blast on this one with, you know, not the worst damage and leadership. Plus, she's tiny with energy shield with an 18 defense. So she's got a 21 defensive range. My gosh. That's a hard character to hit. Speaking of hard characters to hit, how about Avengers Robot Vision? This is the translucent, really cool looking translucent version of Vision. He's more of a range attacker with 6 range with Psychic Blast, 19 defense, indomitable with super senses. He is, again, 50 points, much like the other one. Ah, man, if you're going range offensive, use this one. If they get close, use the other one. Really good choices of visions here. All right, next up. In the uncommon slot, Swordsman. He's got the Avengers keyword. He's got the parry trait. When Swordsman or an adjacent friendly character would be hit by an opposing character that can use Blaze Claw's Fangs, roll 2d6. If your roll is equal to or higher than the attack roll, the attack is evaded. Whoo, that's neat. He's got willpower, blades across the board. Obviously, a bit of a tell there. 40 points. 40 points blades can be dangerous or not dangerous at all. It's a really weird thing. And the ability to kind of throw off other people's blades can go a long way. We'll see how prevalent Blades Claws Fangs is in the future, but overall I'm kind of liking the 40 points in sealed and on your Avengers teams for your fun games at home. All right, next up, Black Widow at slot number 26. She is traded with the ability to use stealth, ignores elevated and hindering for movement. She's Avengers and spy keywords. Really solid. Black Widows always have such good dials. For 50 points, you can't go wrong with this. That incapacitate mixed with the running shot, mixed with the traded stealth and the ability to ignore hindering. You can move bush to bush and just incapacitate your opponents, or just do the 2 damage if you happen to be. Close combat, not too bad. I like her a lot. I've never not liked the Black Widow recently, though. They've been doing a really good job with them lately. All right, next up, Karen Page. She's got a special movement power, always getting into trouble, but my friends are always there to bail me out. That's a really wordy power. It gives her sidestep, and if she's within 3 squares of an opposing character, all friendly characters modify their attack values by +1. Just kind of put her out there, and your opponent, your friendly characters do better. And oh gosh, she's got second click perplex and third click perplex, and she's 20 points. And if, oh my goodness, the perplexed woman is back. Oh boy. Although the fact that she's got that special power on the first click, she could be perplexing your entire team if she puts herself in a little bit of danger. I like, not a bad inclusion at 20 points, to be brutally honest. She could see competitive play in a pit crew meta. Yeah, I'm not going to complain about this Karen Page. She's really flexible, really good. Really sassy looking. Look at her. Look at her. She's looking at me like I messed up. All right, next up. Ben Urich, Spider-Man family and reporter keywords. And he's got a world needs to know. This is something that's really popular among reporter type characters. World needs to know that you're the one behind this all. At the beginning of your turn, you may choose an opposing character within 4 squares and line of fire. Until your next turn, that character can't use Mastermind or Shape Change. He's got willpower as well. 3 clicks, 10 points. Oh man. If I'm predicting the future of the new rules right now, there's a character named the Joker Lex Luthor duo, and that this guy could really help put a dent in for sure. Other than that, those 2 powers are very specific, and not very specific to this set in particular. So if you have the 10 points, by all means, put them in there. But ultimately, this guy is going to be a very situational type of character, or if you have 10 points on your Spider-Man family teams, to put them in there. All right, next up. This is the Black Panther, but the kind of blue blood. We've been calling this at home the Blue Black Panther. This one comes in at 50 points. Marvel Knight's trait. Traded with the ability to use leap, climb, and super senses in addition to what he has. So you got to include super senses and everything he has here. He's got an 18 defense with 50-point value without wit and stealth to start. And the fact he's got leap, climb makes him super flexible in movement. I like this. I like this a lot. Marvel Knight, Wakanda, and Warrior keywords. Yeah, there's somewhere out there for him. I'm not going to discount this one for sure. All right, next up, the Punisher with a knife. He's shifting focus on Marvel Knights. And he's got a special attack power, so I guess it's going to be up close and the up close and personal route. Punisher can use Blaze Claw Fangs when he does. If the result of the D6 is less than 3, you may instead deal 1 penetrating damage. So basically, invulnerable or impervious, he can get through, which is good. He's got really reasonable stats on that. I wish he had charge, but this is kind of the contingency if the rocket launcher hasn't gone far enough. He is indomitable, which means he can attack multiple times in a turn without worry. Yeah, not bad. 50 points. Marvel Knights and Soldier keywords. Again, in conjunction with the other Punishers and the future of the Punisher vans, looking really good with this shifting focus Punisher. All right, next up, Zoran. Where did he go? There he is. Bratrock's Brigade and Martial Artist. He is traded with the ability to use Close Combat Expert and Range Combat Expert, and he's got some sidestep. 4 clicks for 30 points. Oh, he's going to surprise people in sealed, that's for sure. That 3 range, though, with range combat expert, again, this guy's going to surprise people, but that's Batroc's Brigade. What can you expect out of them, right? So yeah, if you're playing a really silly game like I like to play and playing Batroc's Brigade, by all means put him in there. Really good, fun team to play with that. But probably not going to see a lot of competitive action yet. All right, next up, Wakabi. As my Wakanda and warrior keywords, as my king commands, and when an adjacent friendly character named Black Panther makes a close attack after action resolve, Wakabi may make a close attack. He's got a special defense power, honored advisor. He can use toughness. Friendly characters with Wakanda keyword modify the defense value by +1. So all Wakanda characters with him on the board get +1 defense. I just looked at an 18 defense one that could really make a good use. If you pull him and the other Black Panther in your sealed, you've got yourself a really hard Black Panther to hit. Oh, man. Friendly characters, and he's pretty friendly to himself, so he's basically got +1 defense on those first 3 clicks. I like him. I like him for sealed. I like him for casual. May not, unless Wakanda suddenly surprises us, may not see the competitive market, but I like where he's going. I like this figure. All right, next up, Karigi, hand, martial artist, and mystical keywords. He's got special defense power. Stop. Karigi can use combat reflexes once per game. Give Karigi a free action and deal 1 penetrating damage to each adjacent friendly character with a hand keyword. When you do, heal Karigi 1 click of damage for each click of damage dealt. Each time 1 or more adjacent characters is KO'd by this effect, Karigi can use this effect an additional time. So you can take this dial, get all the way down there to the stop, and then turn around and munch on your hand ninjas all the way up, especially if they start dying. He's got super strength with stealth. What a weird combination of powers. Leadership as well. This is a guy who's going to top out your hand ninja teams. Hand keyword is kind of pretty cool. He's got Hydra, which is also really good. And adding Hydra team abilities to mystical keyword teams is really strong. Charge blades in the middle, though. Not going to see competitive. Going to see a lot of fun and casual. Going to do some fun stuff in sealed for sure. Speaking of fun stuff in sealed, shifting focus Elektra in Zered. So she's shifting focus on Marvel Knights again. Dance of Death is her special movement power. Give Elektra a close combat action and make any number of close attacks, each targeting an adjacent opposing character that wasn't already targeted this action. She ignores elevated and hindering from movement. She's got that on her first 3 clicks. She's got so much red. Her outfit matches her dial. Flurry off the end there, but that's, super flurry with her attacks. Blades, claws, fangs, and across the dial, and super senses. A little tricky to hit. She hits anywhere from soft to hard. Oh man, I like her. Especially when you can consider that you can blades with all of those attacks. Don't crowd her, guys. Like her for sealed too. All right, next up, Attacky Doctor Strange. There he is. Shifting focus, and his defenders together is +1 defense. In general. Okay, cool. He's got special damage power. He can use Empower and Enhancement. Unique modifier. When he uses either, also modify the attacker's attack by +1. Once again, that trend of Doctor Strange just making your team better, and he helps them hit. This one helps them hit harder. One gets them there faster, and the other one defends them better. Defender. Yeah. He's got ignores characters for line of fire, which is pretty cool. He's got Psychic Blast, so he can hit hard himself with his 6 range, and then he can make other guys hit harder and easier. Man, shifting focus to Doctor Strange, he's got a place, and that place is out there in the meta. And even, again, guys, if you're learning how to play competitively, use shifting focus characters for the first little bit when you're learning how to play, so you understand a place a character has on the team. All right, next up, Swordsman. He's got Lethal Legion, Masters of Evil, and Martial Artist keywords. It's not just a sword, is his special attack power. Swordsman can use Blaze Claws Fangs. Before making a close attack, choose one effect for the attack. He can use Blaze Claws and Fangs, and the damage dealt is penetrating. The hit target is damage dealt is penetrating. Though the hit target is given an action token, or the hit target can't be moved or placed until your next turn. Ooh, with some really good stats at 50 points with the Masters of Evil team ability, which means he can keep going until you hit those willpower clicks. Then you can probably keep going, and just, do 2 at a time. Man. I like him. I like him a lot. Really good call-in, and his ID card does still have some extra life because it's con exclusive. So a really good call-in that could possibly do some obnoxious stuff with his blades. Yeah, you could see some competitive play for sure. All right, next up, Jessica Jones coming in at a solid 15 points. Marvel Knights trait, Avengers, Marvel Knights, and Detective keyword. She's got another trait. They always leave clues. Opposing characters within 6 squares can't use stealth. For 15 points and leap climb to get around with some sidestep and a late dial. 15 points to turn off stealth? Sure. Yeah, she'll see some action. For sure. Especially if you're worried about your team dealing with stealth or you don't have a lot of ways to deal with it. All right, next up. 70-point Purple Man. He's got Thunderbolts and Spy keywords. He's got a trait. Once a victim, always mind a control. Purple Man considers opposing characters with pheromone tokens to be adjacent and have a 0-point value for mastermind purposes. Okay. It's got a special movement power. Purple Man can use mind control. When he does, modifies attack value by +3. He doesn't take feedback damage for using it, and hit characters are given a pheromone token. It's got a special defense power. Purple Man can use mastermind. When he does, he may remove a pheromone token from an opposing character to transfer damage to... Oh, that's why. Oh, cool. And he's got the Bastards of Doom team, Minions of Doom team ability, which gives him wild card. Wow. So there'll be some teams, mostly in the casual market, that really make effective use of this guy. This guy will be obnoxious to have to deal with in sealed because once he starts going, he's going to be hard to stop. Yeah, I like Purple Man a lot. I'm going to try some competitive ideas with him, but they're not going to be anytime soon. Overall, very fun character. All right, next up, Count Nefaria. Now, this is a guy who's not really subtle about dial design. He's just really strong at all times. He's got Lethal Legion, Magia, and Ruler keywords. He's got Iconic Reserves as his defense power. Count Nefaria can use Invulnerability and Regeneration. When he uses Regeneration and has 1 action token, he doesn't subtract 2 from the D6 rule. Can't wait to see how that gets reworded. Count Nefaria can use Leadership and Stealth as his special damage power, which he gets on all the first 3 clicks. He flies. Stealth and Leadership off the top with Running Shot, Psychic Blast, 4 damage. He's 200 points, but that's a good 200 points. 7 range. Yeah, he's good. He's good, and especially when we're moving away from these large characters. Like, this is almost an auto play in sealed for sure. In casual play, he's going to be a tough one to take down. Competitive play, you don't see characters this size played too often, but in a post-rotation world, the sky's the limits on this guy. All right, next up, Foggy Nelson. Marvel Knights keyword, but not trait. Trust me, I'm a lawyer is his trait. At the beginning of your turn, choose a friendly character of 150 points or less. Till your next turn, as long as the chosen character is adjacent to Foggy Nelson, they can't have their powers countered or their combat values decreased by opposing effects, which is a trend that's happening a lot. 15 points to protect something that you need protecting. Yeah, Foggy's a good lawyer to have. All right, next up, Gladiator. We've seen him out there in the previews, but he's got Emissary of Evil, Magia, Martial Artist keyword. Sorry, I'm slowing down here. Titanium Saw Blade Gauntlets. Gladiator can use Blade's Claws Fangs, and when he hits a single character with a range attack, he may roll D6 and replaces damage value with the result, and that value is locked. Running Shot off the start, 5 range, 60 points. Not a terrible character. Sealed gold for sure, especially if you need to do a ton of damage to, I don't know, this guy. Could go a long way for sure. All right, next up, Gargoyle. He's got Defenders together, and the character that shares his defense can use probability control. He's got probability control himself on his middle clicks. Blaze Claws with exploit weaknesses in a bad combination charge. This is definitely an up-close brawler. 75 points with Defender's team ability, Defender's mystical monster past keywords. Probably not going to see a lot of action in competitive play, but definitely sealed and casual for sure. All right, next up, Nighthawk, Defender, Squadron Sinister, a martial artist keywords, Defenders Together trait that allows you to reroll one of the dice in the attack roll. Special movement power that gives him charge, flurry, and stealth, which he starts in his first 2 clicks with. Charge and flurry is always a good combination. Stealth to keep him going. He's flying, 70 points, sealed gold. Probably not going to see a lot of action in competitive play. Very good in your Defenders teams for sure. All right, next up, the Owl. Oof, I'm going to just beat up the camera for you guys, sorry. The Owl, Magia, Animal, Ruler keywords. He's traded with Toughness. He's got a special movement power that gives him Flight and Charge. He's got a special ability, Glide. Owl can use Charge and the Flight ability. Oh, I'm just going to throw him. 75 points, Precision Strike, 10 attack without Wit. This could go a long way in Sealed, that's for sure. And you're definitely not going to see a lot of competitive. But Magia is starting to look like a keyword I'm willing to use. And I've always wanted to use it as a theme team. So let's see how the Owl fares as part of that. All right, next up. Hellcat. Her defenders together gives super senses to the character using her defense. She's got a special damage power that says she can use a power while a friendly character named Jessica Jones is attacking. Hellcat can use probability control. Not bad. All right. 45 points. Pretty reasonable. Wow, really reasonable numbers and colors for the 45 points. Yeah, definite thoughts going in here. She's Defenders, Marvel Diva, Celebrity, Martial Arts, Mystical. A good throw-in. When we get into that pit crew meta, which is just seriously not like a year away, guys, she will be a really good inclusion. Really good numbers on her. All right, next up, Nuke, who we've seen in the previews. 90 points with the ability to choose a bunch of powers. At the beginning of your turn, choose one pill type. So the red pill gives him Battle Fury and extra attack. The white pill gives him lets him heal 1 click but can't attack this turn. And the blue pill can give him Precision Strike. Now, because at the beginning of your turn, you're choosing that, you can heal and run away if you so choose. He comes in at 70 points. Thunderbolts and Soldier keyword. He's really colorful dial. Sealed, really good. Competitive, probably not going to see a ton of action, but I've been wrong on that before. But I like him. He's neato. All right, next. And you have to deal with my accents when I say this. It is Batroc Zilipa. Batroc's Brigade and Martial Artist keywords. He's got improved movement, ignore elevated, ignore hindering, and ignore characters. They call me Zeliper is his special movement power. Batroc can use sidestep when he has 1 action token. He may use sidestep twice this turn and may give in a free action to make a close attack. For 40 points with this dial, how could you go wrong with Batroc Zeliper? I like this guy a lot. The fact that you can move 8 squares, now he has an action token, then you can sidestep, and then sidestep again. That's 12 squares you've now moved, and then make an attack for 2 damage with Precision Strike. For 40 points. His reach is insane. Like, at first glance, not super competitive, but there's research and work to be done with Batroc Zeliper. All right, now we're hitting that super rare slot. And we start to look at the Iron Man in the super rare. Now this is going to be causing a lot of people to be a little annoyed. He does not fly. He's Avengers, Stark Industries, Armor, and Scientist. Be aware about that. That's all. He's got special damage or attack power. All my different armors merged into one. Give Iron Man a free action and choose 1 standard power except defense powers. Until your next turn, he can use the chosen power, but can't use his possessed standard speed, attack, or damage powers. So you choose a power, replace it with something, and do stuff with it. So you just kind of keep an eye on it, that's all. Special damage power, which he has late in the dial, it looks like, yeah. Use my armor to imprison you. Give Iron Man a power action. Choose an opposing character within 3 squares and line of fire. Until your next turn, that character can't move or make a range attack, and Iron Man can't use invulnerability. Well, there's ways around that, guys. We all know there is. He does have that on his last 2 clicks. It does come with some pulse wave, so it's really a choice of do you want to pulse wave or stop somebody and attack with something else. Playable at 165 or 125. I can see 125 making its way into competitive play. Possibly 165 too, depending on what kind of tricks you can pull off with him against characters like Jakeem Thunder. 7 range with 2 targets is really good. Overall, pretty okay. I'm going to put a hard maybe on the competitive play, but definitely a fun, strong Iron Man to include on your Avengers teams for sure. All right, next up, Moondragon. Her defenders together. Oh, this is wordy. Hold on. So once per turn for all characters with a trait, if a character uses the defender's team ability to replace this defense with Moondragons, put an arrogant token on this card. Moondragon modifies their attack and damage values by +1 for each arrogant token on this card. When Moondragon misses any targets of an attack after action resolve, remove all arrogant tokens from this card. Use Avengers and Defenders keywords. Special movement power. She can use mind control and doesn't take feedback damage when using it. And then she's got special damage power. She can use Psychic Blast and Telekinesis. Oh man, if you could start, you could just use her defense if the character even has another 17 defense. Start mounting up those arrogant tokens. This could be a character who becomes a nightmare at 85 points. Really interesting. She's got a lot of mind control off her movement, so that does kind of take her down a bit. But honestly, I like her for sealed. I like her for casual play for sure. I'm on the wall on competitive play for her. We'll see what we can do with Moondragon. I was looking at another character while I was saying that. All right, next up, Claw. Master of Evil and Scientist keywords. He's got a trait, Hard Light, Focused Vibranium Conduit. Give Claw free action, choose a standard attack power. Claw can use that power this turn. Gee, I wonder if we're all going to be using Pulse Wave with that. Special movement power. Claw can use Sidestep and ignores elevated blocking and characters. When he uses it's hindering blocking and characters. My gosh, Jason, learn how to read. When he uses Sidestep, you may roll a d6, and he may move up to the result instead of 2. Claw can use... Oh, he's got special defense power. Claw can use super senses. If Claw would take more than 2 damage, he takes 2 damage instead. It's a really, really hard dial to get into those regeneration clicks with. At 110 points, though, you need to do a lot of protecting on him. But it's protecting that could end up being worth it. Hard maybe on competitive play. Really strong in casual play. And a definite inclusion in sealed play for sure. All right, next up, Man-Ape. He's got Wakanda, Animal, and Mystical keywords. Mysticism with a white ape. Man-Ape can use Steel Energy. When Man-Ape KOs an opposing character at 50 points or more after action resolve, remove an action token from him. He ignores hindering terrain for movement. Colors on the dial. He's 100 points. He's got to include the fact that he's got Steel Energy included with all of these stats. He's 100 solid points. 100 even. He's got a combination of Hypersonic and Battle Fury in the mid dial. That could really throw a wrench in somebody's super senses work, and it could definitely make him immune to characters like Moondragon. Probably not going to see a competitive action. Could be very strong in a sealed game. Definitely a good beefer, and you got a lot of room to work with in the set with only 100 of your points being taken up by him. All right, Moon Knight is next. Oh my gosh, I just thought about him with Wakabi, because he gives Wakanda +1 defense. Keep an eye out for that in your packs, guys. All right, next up, Moon Knight, Marvel Knight's detective and mystical keyword, ignores elevated and hindering from movement, protector of night travelers. Once per turn, if another friendly character is damaged from an attack after action resolve, remove an action token from Moon Knight. Whenever a friendly character is KO'd from an attack after action resolve, you may place Moon Knight in a square that character occupied. And he's got special movement power. Moon Knight can use charge and running shot. Wow, that's flexible. He's got special power on his defense. Stop. Moon Knight can use regeneration and invulnerability. He's a wild card at 110 points and indomitable for range. Yeah. Sealed gold. Could be competitive in the future. Not now. But at some point, really good dial for 110 points. I like this guy a lot. Definite play for sealed. All right. Next up, getting there, guys. Black Knight. Defenders, mystical warrior keywords. His defenders together. Heal Black Knight a 1-click of damage as actions resolve. So, if you share Black Knight's defense, doesn't matter what happens. After the action's done, Black Knight heals. He's defender, mystical, and warrior keywords. He's got another trait, Atomic Steed, Ebony Blade. Give Black Knight a power action to move in a direct path using ignore characters. After action resolve, make a close attack using exploit weakness, targeting all characters he moves through. Ooh, doggy. And that's traded. So you could deal 3 damage to a bunch of things with exploit weakness if they line up properly. And he's got sidestep to help line it up. I remember Juggernaut doing a ton of damage the way he worked. Black Knight's going to work the same way in sealed play for sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Black Knight's going to be a good one. Competitive play, it's there, just not yet. And just, yeah, give a really good, solid inclusion on your Avengers teams. All right. And last but not least, Shadowlands Daredevil, or as he's lovingly called, the Chair Devil. He's got hand, martial artist, and mystical ruler keywords. For those of you unfamiliar, the Shadowlands storyline, Daredevil becomes possessed by the beast and takes over the hand and just generally becomes a really bad dude. But cleans up Hell's Kitchen really well. All right, so he's got the leader of the hand trait. Daredevil can use stealth once per turn, give Daredevil a power action, and place a hand ninja, this one, we saw him earlier, from outside the game in a square of hindering terrain within range and line of fire. That's 4 range. If a friendly character with the hand keyword was KO'd since your last turn, instead, this is a free action. So if another character with a hand ninja has been KO'd, you can get an extra hand ninja on the board. Why not? He's got a special damage power, special attack power, which he has on everything but his first 2 clicks. Daredevil can use Precision Strike. When Daredevil hits an opposing character, modify the attack value of all friendly characters with a hand keyword by +1 this turn. If the opposing character is KO'd, also modify their damage values by +1 this turn. And then he's got a special defense power. Daredevil can use super senses. When he does and succeeds after actions resolve, deal the attacker 1 unavoidable damage. He's also got the Mystic's team ability. So if you hit him, you take a damage. You miss him, courtesy of super senses, you take a damage. Oh, he's got leadership off the first 4 clicks and then turns into some shape change. I like this guy. Now that I've seen these guys, I like him a little more. The team that he works around is a little tricky to build and play and will be very soft. But when we hit that pit crew meta, man, this Daredevil is going to be great. All right, that's all the figures. Let's wrap this up, boys and girls. All right, so that's the Avengers Defenders set in a nutshell. A lot of very low point characters, really, really strong in the shifting focus market, that's for sure. And if you guys watch, I've got a Metafix episode coming up on why you should be using the shifting focus, even if you're not planning on using it in a big tournament. It's a really good mechanic for learning how figures work and learning strategies with the game. So even a new player coming into learn the competitive play can learn a lot from just using the shifting focus characters. That said, I'm going to give this set a bit of a thumbs up because this is the set that plays to my heart, which is play a lot of characters, don't care if some of them die, do as much damage as you possibly can with them. And there's nothing wrong with that. With that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the review of the set. Overall, a really fun set for sure. And this seems to be the direction the game is going, is on a more fun market. So I'm really looking forward to a future where competitive play is just a fun game. But with that said, guys, thank you very much. Have a good night. And thank you again, Wizkids, for providing us with all of these wonderful hero clicks for us to share with you guys.